This video explores Korematsu versus United States, a landmark Supreme Court case that questioned wartime justice concerning the internment of Japanese Americans. After the attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, widespread fear of an invasion gripped the nation. The U.S. government became concerned about potential espionage or sabotage by people of Japanese descent on the West Coast. In February 1942, President Roosevelt signed Executive Order 9066, authorizing the military to define exclusion zones and remove any persons from them. The order was justified as essential for preventing espionage and sabotage during the war. The government claimed the evacuation was a military necessity because distinguishing loyal from disloyal Japanese Americans was impossible. However, at the time the order was issued, there was no proven case of espionage or sabotage. A cartoon published shortly after the order presented the official narrative as a benign relocation for the internees' own protection, labeling the evacuees as, quote, California-born Japanese citizens and loyal to USA. The removal orders applied to all Japanese persons, both citizen and non-citizen. Families were given less than a week to abandon their homes and possessions and were forced into internment camps, often lacking basic facilities. Fred Korematsu, an American citizen of Japanese descent, refused to comply with the internment orders. He was arrested, convicted, and decided to challenge the constitutionality of the exclusion order itself. Korematsu's defense argued the order was unconstitutional racial discrimination, violating the 5th and 14th Amendments. The U.S. argued the order was a valid exercise of the president's wartime powers, citing national security as a, quote, pressing public necessity. On December 18, 1944, the Supreme Court ruled against Fred Korematsu in a 6-3 decision. The court found that Executive Order 9066 and the resulting internment were constitutional. The majority opinion, written by Justice Hugo Black, acknowledged that legal restrictions curtailing civil rights based on race are immediately suspect. However, it justified the action as a, quote, pressing public necessity, rooted in, quote, imminent danger to public safety. Justice Frank Murphy's dissent argued the order was not based on military reality but on racial prejudice. He stated, "This exclusion goes over the very brink of constitutional power and falls into the ugly abyss of racism." In his dissent, Justice Robert Jackson warned that validating racial discrimination under the guise of military necessity set a dangerous precedent. He believed the court should not create a permanent legal weapon out of an expedient military order. The road to redress spanned decades. In 1983, based on new evidence of government suppression of intelligence, a federal judge vacated Korematsu's original conviction. Congress granted reparations in 1988, and Korematsu received the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1998. In a 2018 Supreme Court case, Chief Justice John Roberts formally denounced the Korematsu decision, stating it, quote, was gravely wrong the day it was decided and has no place in law under the Constitution. The story of Korematsu versus United States is a cautionary reminder of the fragile balance between national security and constitutional liberty, a tension democracies must always navigate. In 1944, the Supreme Court upheld the forced relocation and internment of Japanese Americans, arguing that national security concerns during World War II outweighed individual constitutional rights based on the claim of military necessity. The first question is, how did Korematsu versus United States justify the suspension of individual rights during wartime? The ruling reflected widespread anti-Japanese sentiment, leading to policies based on race rather than proven disloyalty. No similar mass internment occurred for German or Italian Americans. The second question is, what role did racial prejudice play in the decision of Korematsu versus United States? Although never formally overturned at the time, Korematsu became one of the most criticized Supreme Court decisions in U.S. history and served as a cautionary example in later civil rights cases. The third question is, how has Korematsu versus United States shaped later Supreme Court rulings on civil liberties? In 2018, the Supreme Court explicitly stated that Korematsu was wrongly decided, finally acknowledging the injustice done to Japanese Americans during World War II. The fourth question is, why is the formal repudiation of Korematsu important to American democracy? The case demonstrates how constitutional protections can erode when fear overrides justice, especially for minority groups. The final question is, what lessons does Korematsu versus United States offer about protecting constitutional rights today?